Good morning, liar. It's afternoon, 1:12. So no, there was no vlog yesterday, and there's not a lot going on, and I was just trying to recuperate a little bit. So today, Sunday, I already have some of the stuff prepped for dinner. I'm gonna make a brown, long grain brown rice casserole with grilled chicken and green beans, and not soup out of a can. So I've already pre-cooked the brown rice because that takes 40 minutes. So that's all set. And then I'm going to make bread pudding with the King's Hawaiian original bread. I have some eggs. I'm gonna put in some vanilla. What is wrong with my brain today? And instead of raisins, which I don't like, I'm gonna put in goji berries, which I'm going to soak in bourbon first, and then I'm going to make a bourbon sauce to go on top of it. So yeah, lots of cooking today, maybe some crafting. We'll see what the day. Oh, and then I have to make the dog's chicken for the dehydrated chicken. So lots of things to do around the house today. So I'm going to make these goji berries drunk off their minds with some wild turkey honey. I'm going to just cover this in a glass jar, mason jar, and that's what's going to plump them up and be part of the sauce. So 2 for 1. You'll get the flavor of the goji berries in the wild turkey, and it's 70. Oh, I have that thing that makes a wild turkey sound. So I am going to lid it so there's nothing that goes in, and it percolates. So while I'm cooking the other things, these will get plumper and yummy and drunk. So drunk goji berries sounds so much tastier than just plain old boring raisins, doesn't it? I've cut up the bread and I'm gonna let it sit on the cutting board and get a little bit of a crust on it, because crusty bread, because bread pudding was really born out of reusing bread. But see, I want it to have a little bit of a give. And the King's Hawaii bread, which is the one that comes in this little pan, is very similar in sugar content to challah bread. It's a little less eggy. Challah is a little more eggy of a bread, but perfect for bread pudding. Excuse me, sweet bread pudding application. So, and I have a dog that wants one somehow. Let's see. Yummy. Alright, so I have 4 eggs cracked in a bowl. I'm going to whisk them. Add probably 2 cups of milk. I'm using whole lactose-free milk. Splash of vanilla, a little bit of cinnamon, and I'm going to strain out the goji berries, but retain the liquid to make the sauce. So I'll show you what that looks like in a second, but first I'm going to look at those gorgeous yolks. Bright orange yolks. Those are the fresh eggs I just picked up from the coop. One of them was still warm, and there's the shells. And I might actually microwave these eggs and break them up, eggshells, break them up and add them to the chicken feed for extra calcium, because I noticed one of the blue eggs was a little thinner shell. I just want to make sure they get plenty of calcium. So ultimate recycling. Alright, traditionally, so I'm making the custard part of the bread pudding. It calls for sugar, but I think I'm going to go with organic honey instead, making it a little more earthy, especially since I'm using goji berries and vanilla. It'll be a little bit of cinnamon. It'll be a nice mix, I think, rather than just granulated sugar, even though I do have sugar in the raw. Lovely custard. I added about a 1/4 cup of that organic honey. Looks good. So now I'm going to strain out the goji berries into a pot, because I want all of that. Oh my gosh, look how plump they got. They look so beautiful. Let me taste one, because I know he's going to be a little drunk one. They're so good. Okay, if you have kids, you can plump them in something else like apple juice. Oh, I love that little kick. So I'm going to add them to the bread portion. But first I have to get some melted butter to add to the bread, which I'm going to use a springform pan. Figure it's going to be the easiest way to extract the pudding and then slice it. So we'll see how that works. So everything's mixed in, the bread, and I did cut up the rest of the loaf, so one loaf would make the perfect portion for a springform pan. And what I did is I lined it with foil on the outside and sprayed it with cooking spray. If you have a misto, you can add melted coconut oil, that would be lovely. I'm going to pop that in. Love the goji berry to bread ratio. And as you can see, all the bread is soaked. So I'm going to pop that in and show you what that looks like before it goes into a 375 Fahrenheit oven, preheated. Into the oven this goes. I'm going to check in about 35 minutes because I want to make sure the custard is set up everywhere and there's no squishiness in the middle. I'm making the sauce. That's the reserved honey, wild turkey honey. I'm going to add a pat of butter. I'm letting it cook off a lot of the alcohol. Some of the alcohol, not all of it, because we want some of it. I'm going to add a squeeze of honey out of my honey bear. Instead of using granulated sugar, honey with the honey flavored bourbon would be perfect. Not too much, a couple tablespoons maybe. And then once that's all incorporated, I'm going to add some cream. Don't have cream, I have heavy whipping cream, which has been in the fridge from all the soups I've made, and you can also use non-dairy creamer if you want, you know, fat-free kind too. Would add a nice layer of flavoring, like I have a hazelnut one I could use, or French vanilla. There's vanilla already in the pudding, so yum. I'm gonna make sure everything melts. Turn that down. Smells really good in here between the smell of the honey and the alcohol. So good. Okay, the decadent bread pudding is out of the oven. I have my sauce made, so that's the cream, the wild turkey honey, a little bit of honey, and a tiny little pat of butter. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to gild the lily. I'm going to make puncture holes all over the bread pudding with this skewer, and you can see it comes out clean. Oh, come on, focus. Sorry. There you go. Comes out clean, so I know it's baked all the way through. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to pour the sauce all over it. So it's going to saturate into it. Definitely an adult condiment, accompaniment. So you don't really see like lots of puncture holes, but watch what happens. The miracle is in the sauce. I'm going to leave some for the side. But look how luscious that is. So there you go. Yummy goji berry honey turkey bread pudding. So now I'm going to make the main course. I know reverse, but that's how it goes sometimes. So the sauce is much thicker. I did thicken it up. And I am going to save that. I keep forgetting, we got this bottle of at the actual wild turkey factory, and look. Goofy, isn't it? Brown rice, long grain brown rice, basmati rice, oyster mushrooms. I'm going to remove them and saute some of the green beans next. Peas and green beans are going to go in that pot, and I'm going to make the sauce in here. 1.5 of milk, and I'm going to add about a teaspoon of this chicken consomme instead of the condensed soup. Then I'm going to start adding layers of flavor. Garlic, no salt seasoning, lots of fresh cracked black pepper, and then I'm going to mix everything together and go into a oven dish for the casserole, topped with French onions. Sauce with the chicken, it's pre-grilled chicken breast, just cut into strips. I'm going to combine everything together and then put it into this tossable pan, but I am going to put it on a cookie sheet because it's going to be heavy to lift. I'm going to make sure we can take it out of the oven once it's done. I'll show you what it looks like before it goes in. There it is going into the oven. I have some of the French fried onions on top because it simulates that whole, onion casserole. But no condensed soup, no, controlled sodium. So in it goes at 350, probably about 20 minutes or so, 15-20 minutes. That's all it's going to need because everything is cooked through individually on its own. And there's dinner out of the oven, so I think that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you so much for stopping by and keeping me company in the kitchen, primarily. Don't forget to thumbs up. It's free for you and it helps me out. And I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everyone.